Welcome. Today I want to tell you about the anatomy of an apology. Okay, we've all done things wrong. We've all hurt other people. We've all done things that we wish we hadn't done. We're all in situations at one time or another where we need to apologize for our actions, for our words, for whatever we did, for our shortcomings, whatever that is. We always have that sometime in our life where we need to be the bigger person and we need to apologize. If I'm sorry is not in your vocabulary, you've got too much pride in your life. You need to just humble yourself a little bit and be okay with the words, I'm sorry, I apologize. So there's a right way to do that and there's a wrong way to do that. Usually pride gets in the way of us doing it the right way, of us truly asking for forgiveness. That can really go right or wrong. There's definitely a right way to do it or a wrong way to do it. And most of that, the wrong way, stems from pride because we don't think we're wrong. We want to blame it on the other person. Here's what not to do. So before I give you the anatomy of a valid, authentic apology, let me tell you what not to do. You never should say, I'm sorry, you. You don't ever have the word you. I'm sorry, you, blah, blah, blah. It's me. You are apologizing for your actions. You're only accountable for your actions. That's what you need to humble yourself down to and not say you. And you should never include the word but in your apology. I apologize for what I did, but da la la. Then you're justifying. Then your first thing that you said, your apology, means nothing because anything after the but is going to disqualify your ask for your apology. So that's what not to do, right? So here's exactly what to do. I'm going to give you 5 steps, 5 things, the 5 essential parts of an authentic apology. It starts like this, and it's kind of in order. Number 1, you need to admit in detail what you did. So don't sugarcoat what you did. Don't start out with really downplaying the action or words or shortcomings that you did. You need to explain in detail what it was that you did. Hey, I want to talk to you a little bit. Number 1, when I did so-and-so, when I did this and I was doing this and I did this to you and I blah, blah, you're really going into detail of, hey, when I did this, and you're acknowledging everything. When I said those things to you, when I didn't do what you expected me to do, and that's on me, when you're just really laying out in detail, probably too much detail, because you can never go too much when you're apologizing for the things that you did. Number 1, explain in detail so that the victim understands that you understand exactly what it was that you did. Don't sugarcoat it. You need to tell exactly what it was and take ownership of exactly what you did. So number 1, explain in detail exactly what you did wrong. Number 2, this is a tough one. This is where prideful folks really stumble. Number 2, explain in detail why you did what you did. Now, here's the thing. It's not a justification for what you did. It's an act of humility to say, this is very transparent. This is where you're revealing your heart. Hey, number 1, I did these things and I said these things and I shouldn't have done that, and this is exactly what I did. Let me tell you why I did that. Because I was jealous. I was jealous of you, and in my heart, that jealousy really ate at me, and I said these things, and I shouldn't have, but it really came from a core of jealousy, or it came from a core of pride. I'm really struggling with pride. It's very hard for me to admit wrong or to be happy for other people, so I'm very prideful, and I did it, and that's the absolute wrong reason for doing that. I did it because I have an anger problem, and I admit it. I've got a short fuse. I blasted at you. I did this, and I did it because I have an anger problem. Whatever it is, Number 2, admit in detail what it is. Take ownership of why you did what you did. And this is really humbling because you're letting them know that you know why you did it. Once again, you're not saying, I did it because you. You don't want to say you did it because you. It's always I. Take ownership. Ownership and authenticity are 2 key ingredients in, of course, an authentic apology. Ownership, being able to do that. So number 2, really explain the why in a very transparent and humble way, why you did the things that you did. Number 3, you need to be able to empathize with the victim. I'm sure that made you feel really crappy. I'm sure that hurt you deeply. If that had been done to me, it would have hurt me deeply too. So you need to validate and understand their feelings and how they felt when you wronged them, whatever it was that you did to wrong them. That number 3 step is you need to validate and understand and empathize with the victim. Whoever you wronged, you need to verbalize exactly how you think it made them feel and how it would make you feel if whatever was done to you. So that 3rd is the validation and the empathy towards the victim to understand how they feel. Of course, you're going to get more information from them and start the conversation. But as you're going into this authentic apology, you just need to say, right off the bat, there's 5 things that I want to tell you right now. Go ahead and say. That way you've got the floor. Sometimes in therapy, they give you a pillow or a ball or something to where you hold and you've got the floor and you're doing the talking. So you can say these 5 things and really reveal your heart and let the victim know exactly where you stand through the whole thing, as opposed to just starting number 1 and then boom, they come blasting at you and they don't let you get through the apology. And then that just leads to worse stuff, and then you get ticked off and you start throwing fire back at them, and it really just spirals out of control. Take control of the conversation and just ownership, and when you approach your victim, just say, hey, I've got 5 things that I really want to share with you, and I'd appreciate me being able to just, you allowing me to share these 5 things with you. And then you start going through this list that I'm giving you right now. Number 4, and a lot of people miss this, you need to describe in detail the right thing you should have done. So as you're working your way through the anatomy of this authentic apology, you need to say exactly what you should have done. You know, if I could rewind the clock and I could go back to that moment where I just said this crap to you, or I did this crap to you, or I didn't do what you expected me to do, here's what I should have done. I really should have said this. I really should have acted this way. I really should have had actions that did this. I really should have followed through. I really should have listened more. Whatever it is, you need to describe in detail what you should have done instead of what you actually did. That's ownership, and that's actually a lot of maturity in that statement, being able to say what you should have done. And now they understand, okay, well, maybe he or she does understand that what they did was wrong and why they actually did it and what they probably should have done. You're working your way through this authentic apology. So being able to include what you should have done to start with is huge in being able to soften the heart of your victim to work towards that restoration and that forgiveness. And then number 5, of course, this lands the plane. So once you've set that full foundation with the 4 things that I just shared with you, number 5, ask for forgiveness and authentically apologize for whatever it was that you did. So that's the ask. You've laid the foundation and you've let them know that you know exactly what you did was wrong and why you did it and what you probably should have done. Now you're asking. So all that being said, I just want to apologize. I am so sorry that I did that, and I ask your forgiveness, and I hope that you can, restore our relationship, that you will let me back in. If not, I totally understand. So you can't put the ownership on them. Like, hey, I made this big production and I said my 5 things. Now you need to forgive me and we need to be back to normal. Because there's still a lot of sting in whatever it was that you did. All you can do is these 5 things. You can't make them forgive you. You can't make them restore their relationship to back what it was. You and your future actions are going to do that over time, if at all. So this might be the end of the relationship. They might just say, I really appreciate your words. It still hurts. Give me some time to digest what you've said, but I really appreciate, there's no way they can't appreciate where you're coming from if you do these things the right way. So they're going to appreciate it. But do not finish number 5 with an apology and ask for forgiveness and ask for restoration and then hand them the ball and expect it to come back to you with, oh, you're so wonderful and I forgive you, and hugs and kisses. Sometimes it doesn't work like that. Sometimes what you did was really sucky. And all you can do is lay these 5 things out to authentically ask forgiveness and for restoration and take ownership through humility for what you did. What they do with that is up to them. So don't put the ownership back on them. You're doing everything you can to get them there. If they do, great, wonderful. Your things worked and you're able to restore. If they forgive you and they move on and they're just broken the relationship, then hey, you did your part, and it's not something that's going to keep you attached and keep your heart tugging with a guilt of what you did or anger that can fester over time. You're being released of that. Or if they decide not to forgive you, they're like, you know what, I appreciate what you said, I just can't forgive what you did. I'm moving on. Well, you've done your part. They're the ones that are going to be anchored at that point with their anger and their unforgiveness and their over time, that festering and that going sour and the whole thing inside of them just kind of consuming them from the inside. You've done your part. So you can't take ownership of how they now fester from that point on with unforgiveness. You've done your part. So that's the anatomy of an authentic apology. Trust me, you do these 5 things and you're going to be better off in life. And it starts with humility and the ability to be able to just set yourself aside, to selflessly go into this and be able to truly take ownership of what you've done and restore relationships in your life. So there you go. I hope you like this kind of stuff. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I love pouring in other people and sharing stuff like this. If you think somebody in your life could benefit from this video, or this audio, this podcast, this YouTube video, please share it with other people. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.